So you're hitting behind the ball, you're hitting the top of the ball, you're hitting it to the right, you're sculling it. You got all kinds of shots going on. You don't even know where to start. Well, I can tell you this, more than likely it has to do with your golf setup. And the good news is I'm going to show you a 1, 2, 3 step process that can help you get set up perfectly every single time. I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Kolb, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Sanford Power Golf Academy. And I can tell you this, people worry about their golf swing, and what they should be focusing on is their setup. All right, if you get set up correctly, you're going to probably hit some quality golf shots. And if you go to any tour event and you watch the best players in the world work on their game, yeah, they're working on their swing, but they're very diligent with their golf setup. And today I'm going to give you a 1, 2, 3 step process on how to do that. Now, the first thing we're going to do here to kind of lay the groundwork is we're going to talk about the setup with the irons, and then we're going to talk about the golf setup with the driver, because there's a little bit of difference between the two. And at the very end, I'm going to give you a nice tip that can help you with your driver, not only in terms of the setup, but also in terms of your contact. Now, all right, so let's dive into this 1, 2, 3. And I got to say this, if you love golf and you love working on your game, US Golf TV is the place for you. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to ring the bell so you know when great content is coming out. So let's dive into this 1, 2, 3. So first of all, if you're struggling with your contact, it could be something in your setup. So when we're talking about setup, here's first of all what we're talking about. We're talking about stance width. We're talking about aim. Okay. We're talking about, ball position. All right. And we're also talking about posture. Those are the basic 4 concepts. So maybe if you're struggling with your contact, you want to really pay attention here to the ball position. Maybe if you're hitting the ball to the right or to the left, you want to pay attention to the aim. All right, or if you're out of balance, you want to pay attention here to your stance width. So let's dive right into this, the 1, the 2, and the 3. So step number 1, here's what you're going to do. We're going to go through irons first. You're going to bring the club up in front of you. Now here's the things you're looking for in step 1. The club is up in front of you like this. Notice that my hands are just a little bit above my belt. So from that angle here, my hands are just a little bit above my belt. Now that's an important concept that's going to lead into this when we get into step 3. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, I want you to take a look at the leading edge. That leading edge should be nice and square. If you're slicing the golf ball, maybe it's as simple as you got the club face open at address. I mean, that could be your fix. So make sure your club face is square, your hands are a little bit above, okay, your belt line, you got your good solid grip, and the last thing you're going to look for from here is you got a nice soft arm with a little bit of elbow bend. So I'm set up here. Notice how my elbows are just bent a little bit. They're not straight and tight. Okay, they have a nice little soft bend to them. Just like when I stand here, you notice I got a little bit of bend in my arm? That's the same feel that I want to have there. So that's step number 1, and some of the things that we're looking for. Club face, hands slightly above the belt, a little bit of elbow bend. Now, step number 2. Now, I don't know if you agree with that or disagree. That's okay. Let me hear from you. Leave a comment. Maybe there's something that you've been doing that helps you in your golf setup that can help our fellow golfers. And if you don't agree with something I said, that's okay too. We like hearing from you as well. So step number 2, iron. I'm going to put my feet together, okay? Now here's the key components to this. My feet are together and my feet are on a straight line. That's going to help me with my aim. The second thing is the ball is right in the center of my feet. Notice how it's right between my 2 toes and my feet are nice and square to each other. There's a nice straight line. So I've got already my step 1 done. My feet are together, the ball's in the center. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate my lead foot and separate my trail foot about the exact same distance. So here I am, feet together, separate, separate. I now know that the ball is pretty close to exactly where I want it. I know that my aim is really probably in a pretty good position. So we've covered stance width now. We've talked about ball position, we've got that right, and we've got aim. Now the 4th component we need to talk about is the posture, right? Okay, and that comes in step number 3. So in step number 3, what we're going to do is we're going to just simply bend at the hip and go ahead and lower the club down to the golf ball. And when we do that, that's going to help us get in good posture and also show us how far away from the golf ball we should be. So let me demonstrate this from down the line because it's going to be a little bit easier. So I'm going through my first steps. Club face is square, elbows are bent, hands a little bit above my belt line. I got an iron, so I'm going step and step. Remember, this is going to be a little different with the driver here in a second. We talk about that. Now I'm just tilting at the hip. Okay, now you'll notice where the club came down there. It was a little bit further away, so I got to move away from the ball a little bit. Now I know that I'm the right distance from the ball and also that I've got good posture. So those are the 3 steps, the 1, 2, and the 3 with the iron. So hopefully that makes sense. It's a lot of information, but I'm telling you, it can really help your golf game and help you start hitting more quality shots. So let's dive into the driver, because the driver's a little bit different, right? Because when we hit the driver, the ball's in the air. Okay? The ball's in the air. So the beauty of this is step number 1 is the same. Club's up front, make sure it's nice and square. If you're slicing or hooking it, you could have a club face alignment issue at the beginning. So make sure it's square. Okay? A little bit of elbow bend. Now, when I hit the driver, what I'm going to do here, I don't have it on a tee, I just got it on the ground, but you'll have it on a tee, not a big deal. So once again, the ball's right between my toes, and I make sure my feet is square. Okay? So now when I separate my feet, I'm going to take my lead foot and just separate it just a little bit, maybe like an inch or so. And then I'm going to make a nice big step with my trail foot. Now what you're going to notice is when I do that, now the ball is definitely more forward in my stance, which is exactly where we want it when we're hitting our driver, because we want to ideally be hitting up on the golf ball. Now why do we want to hit up on the golf ball? We've talked about that in some of our previous videos. Check those out if you want to know why that's important. So that hopefully makes sense to you. Now the other thing that you want to know is that will help you find the right distance from the ball. So that was pretty good right there. I can tell that I'm the right distance from the ball. I've got my aim and I've got everything checked out. So the last tip I want to give you, this is kind of a bonus tip. I guess it has to do with the setup because it's part of the setup, but it only applies to your driver. And this is the tip that I've been using for like 20 years and it works literally like almost every single time. So what you're going to do is when you're set up there, you're going to take your driver and you're just going to hover it up, hover it off the ground. So it's just resting right behind the golf ball. Now by doing that, what's going to happen is it's going to improve your tempo. It's going to help you swing up on the golf ball. And believe it or not, just literally taking the driver and hovering a little bit up off the ground, you are going to find that your driver speed increases, the contact improves, and then therefore you start hitting some more quality golf shots. So whether you're slicing the ball, you're chunking it, you're hitting behind it, you're topping it, don't think about the swing. Start with the setup. Go through your 1, 2, and your 3, and if you do that and you get your setup dialed in, you're going to start hitting more quality golf shots.